Hey everyone, it's Random Noob, and today I'm making a tier list video. We got Twitch chat as well alongside us if they ever want to comment on anything I talk about. But we're gonna go through the entire, champions. If you want to jump to the end where you see the tier list completed, feel free. But I do want to remind everyone this is an opinion. All right, it's an opinion. I could be wrong about a lot of these things. I could be right. You never know. But I do have a little experience. I did play this game professionally for a long time, so I do know a little bit. This is the current patch. I can't remember what patch it's on right now. I think 2.4 or whatever. I don't know. It's way deeper. It's 2. I don't know. Whatever patch. The damn Frontier patch. This will be about high level ranked and competitive somewhat. And also, please, please, please do not flame me if I say a character you enjoy is bad. Please, I beg you. And alright, let's hop into it. Like I said, feel free to jump to the end if you want to see it. I'm going to talk about every little thing, including ROM and IO and stuff like that. So first of all, let's start with what I think is one of the best champions in the game, IO. IO right now to me is a S tier support. S tier. I think she's really strong. I think she's like by far one of the best healers ever. I think there was a time where like Ying and Grover were, on the S level, but they kind of fell off really quick. I think right now Io is just extremely strong for a few reasons. One, her dog is her dog capturing point just makes her S right there. That ability, along with a semi-decent champion, which Io is more than semi-decent right now with a 25% DR card, she fits right there. She fits up at the S tier category. And then now, after Io, we're gonna just kind of work around through alphabetical order. We're not gonna hop around. Atlas should actually be up in the A's. Okay, I just wanted to throw Io at the top because I think right now, is it really a fox? Yes, it's a fox, but I call it a dog. All right, it's a doggo to me. Dredge SS tier. I don't know about that. All right. So hopping into Andro. Andro got a few buffs this most recent patch. I think like farther, back, right before HRX, people would put Andro very low. But I think that Andro with the buffs this patch, where he has when he gets lifted or crippled, it doesn't cancel all his dashes. It only cancels the current one, along with the increased damage or the decreased damage fall off on Cursed Revolver. I think he's actually really good now. I don't think he's like Maeve Eevee level quite, but I do think he's one of the better flanks in the game. And currently, I'm gonna put him at a B+. We might change some of this stuff around, but right now I think he's a B+ champion. I think he's definitely improved this patch. He's a lot stronger. Alright, moving to tanks, Ashe. I actually think Ashe is kind of weak. I don't think she's bad by any means. I think she's just a standard champ. But I just don't think she's as good as the rest of the tanks in the lineup, like Alice, Khan, Koa, stuff like that. So I'm gonna put her as like a more average champion, which is what I have B as. I think B is average. B+ is slightly above average. And the rest are just either weak. This is like weak champions, and then this would be, strong champions of some sort. Maeve Eevee level spoilers? Hey, we'll get there. Don't worry. But I do have to talk about them in relationship to the rest of the cast, right? That's the only way you can make a tier list. You have to, the characters you put somewhere, I'm making them in relation to what I'm going to put other characters later, right? So I think Ashe, overall, she's a good champion, don't get me wrong. I just think she's a little average. Not as good as the other tanks. Moving on to Atlas. Atlas took some extreme nerfs this patch. He has a cripple on his rewind, which is actually a really big deal. Eevee goes from like not really being good against Atlas at all to being probably one of his hardest counters. So I think that definitely drops him. I think he's still very good. Also, he had a nerf to his big wall, but I still think big wall is absolutely just the most insane ability in this game. Big wall is absolutely nuts. You can nerf that thing 3 times. If you don't touch how big it is and how it can't be killed, it'll still be insane. So for me, Atlas is going to be better than Ashe. She's going to be better than Ashe. She's going to be a little bit better than Andrew. He's going to be an A. He did take nerfs, but I don't think those nerfs are enough to actually push him that far down. I think he's still, and his range poke didn't get touched. Like the amount of damage he does across the map, and if you occasionally headshot, It's absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. So I still think Atlas is a really strong tank. I'm not gonna put him like the top tank or anything like that, but I think he's still up there. Barrick, in terms of point tanks, I don't think Barrick is touched by anyone. Barrick is an absolutely really strong tank in high ranked and competitive. In terms of point tanks, I don't think he's a tank that is gonna hard carry or anything. So that's why I'm gonna put him as A. But if he did more damage, or just had, I don't know, just a little bit more tankiness, he would be A plus S. He's so close to being absolutely bonkers. Yeah, exactly. Fat Cassie. It's exactly what he is. Fat Cassie, 100%. Just a really strong, tanky damage dealer that can also stand on cap. Yeah, I think Barrick is right now is an A. So moving on to Bomb King, more damage champs. Bomb King, he was starting to get picked a little bit more again before HRX. My issue with Bomb King is this. It's pretty simple. His movement ability is very inconsistent. It also is very easy to read. Like, you know where BK is going to go when he's going to poppy. You know exactly where he's going to go. For me, he's actually pretty weak. I don't know. I think people started to pick him before HRX a little bit, but they ended up, he ended up dropping a priority a little bit. And I think he's actually a little below average, in my opinion. I don't think he's bad by any means, but I think he's slightly below a B. I think he's a C. Like, C, I don't think... Okay, let me rephrase this, because this is the first champion I put in C. I don't think he's bad. I think he's 100% playable, but overall, I think he's very inconsistent. I think he can be good, but... I don't know. It's just, he's too inconsistent for me. And that's my problem. That's my problem with Bomb King. And let's move on to Buck. I think C and D and F. I don't want to say that these are champions that are unplayable. I think F is the only champion that's unplayable. I think D and C in my tier list are going to be champions that can be played in certain situations, but overall they're not very good. That's my opinion on them. So don't take C and D as, oh my gosh, my champion's terrible, never play them. That is not what it is. It is just in relation to the other champions that are average or above average, they're a little worse. So moving on to Buck, I actually think Buck is about Andrew level as a flank. I think Buck is actually a very solid flank. People started to pick him a little bit. However, he did fall out of favor. Like, most of the people just didn't pick him. He didn't really do good at HRX. But I still think he's on the line. I think Bounce House is a talent that can be used pretty effectively if people figure it out in the good right situations. I don't think anyone really figured it out, but I think there is a place for it. And I also think Bulk Up's just going to be solid pretty much across the board. So, even with the Andrew buffs and Buck not getting changed, I think Buck's a B+ champion. I think, yeah, Buck plus, exactly. Buck plus. That's exactly where he stands. Cassie. So Cassie did get a nerf this patch. She was definitely above average champion before the nerf, and I really don't think that nerf changed her. I don't think Cassie in her current state with the 50% or with the remove CC immunity on her ult. That's Leon. Sorry. With the remove CC immunity on her ult, I don't think it really affects her that much. I'm not going to lie. I think it definitely touches her, but I still think she's one of the best champions in the game currently in terms of damage. And I'm going to put her at A. She is still an A champion to me, even with the nerf. I really don't think that nerf did much to her. I think you have to... Yeah, exactly. Nerf in quotations. I don't think it did much. I don't think she's A+. Don't get me wrong. I do not think she's A+. Think about other champions in the game. Strix. Willow, potentially. Even with the nerfs. Actually, probably not Willow. But Strix, right? Strix exists! How can you put Cassie on Strix level? You can't! She's good, but not that good, right? So moving on to Dredge. If I think BK is a C, I think Dredge is a D. I think Dredge is actually just not very strong. They did buff his ultimate this patch from like 1400 damage to 2500 damage, I believe. And that's just not enough. His ultimate's still bad. Like, it's actually worse than what it used to be. Somehow they changed the ult, trying to buff it, and they made it worse. Balance team, what are you thinking? Right? Like, how do you make it worse when you try to make it? It makes no sense. But yeah, anyways, Dredge, I think he's a pretty bad character. I don't think he's unplayable. I'm not gonna throw him an F, but I do think he is pretty weak right now. And I do have BK being slightly better. Probably a lot better actually, even though I haven't seen it's only one tier away. I think it's actually a pretty big difference. Like BK is like probably B minus, so I was gonna put B minus in my tier list, but it's or not, yeah, B minus or C plus. So moving on to Drogitos. Drogos, interesting question here. If Drogos didn't have Wormjets, I actually don't think he would be that good. I would put him very low. But because of Wormjets, I think it brings up Drogo's viability quite a bit. I don't think he's going to be like a very good champion where you play him all the time or anything, but you definitely can pick him in a lot of situations. Combustible, Fusillade, and Wormjets are all pretty viable. I think Wormjets is still his best talent, even with the nerfs in a few recent patches. So for me, I'm either gonna put Drogo at a B or a B plus. Is he Andro good? I don't think so. I think he's a B. I think Drogo's a B. I think B makes sense. I think he's too inconsistent across too many maps in which you could put him higher, but I do think he is pretty good. I think he's definitely an average champion. Moving on to Eevee. So Eevee is always a highly talked about champion in Paladins because of her mobility. Why does this song stop? Or is it just quiet? Okay. Eevee, I think in previous tier lists I put her as high as S or A plus. It's definitely one of these three. Do I think she can hard carry in ranked and competitive? 100%. In ranked and competitive, like in high ranked, 100% Eevee's an S. But I think overall, if you're gonna add like pro level games, stuff like that, I think she's an A plus. Honestly, I think she's a very very strong champion. You can pretty much pick Eevee in almost any situation, and it'd be good, right? Like actually any situation into like a Wormjets Drogue, you can make it work. A good Eevee player can make Eevee work on any champ or in any map. Sorry, not champ. And Eevee on Ice Mines? People were playing Eevee on Ice Mines. I didn't make it work, but other people were. Fish and Freeze were making it work a little bit. I tried to make it work. I tried my best. I know. Don't believe me. I tried. Eevee can work on Ice Mines. She can work on any map, in my opinion, and she does. I think she fits pretty well in A plus. Yeah, Simsy did too. All right, let's move on to Nando. Nando, I actually think he's still D, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all you Fernando fans out there. I know there's a bunch of you, but I cannot put him off D. I can't. Even with his buffs. Even with the buffs, I can't. I think he is just it's not even that Nando's bad. It's honestly that the other tanks are bonkers. They're bonkers. The D. Oh my gosh, Twitch chat. Yeah. So anyways, I think even with the shield buffs and stuff like that, he still is pretty weak. I don't think he fits in the meta very well. In terms of the other tanks are just too good, right? It's not that Nano's bad, it's the other tanks are good. And that's the issue here. So moving on to Furia, another healer. This is only the second healer. So we have a healer with Io at the top. And I think Furia, honestly, is just an average healer. I think she's average. I don't think she really fits in the meta that well. She's okay. She's definitely not bad, don't get me wrong. She's playable, but I don't think she's that great. Like, I don't think you can consider IO level or in terms of game impact. I just don't. I think her ult's strong, for sure, but I don't think she's that great. Like, you might, like, you disagree, but, like, what are you going to do? Put her B plus in terms of impact? Like, she's not going to impact the game as much as an Andrew or Buck. Or an Atlas, Barrack, or Cassie. She's just not. I think Furia is lower tiered than a lot. I just personally don't think she's that good. I think Vex would disagree. I agree. But in terms of me as a drafter, looking at the game, I don't think Furia affects the game as much as a lot of these other champs. That's my opinion. I think she's good. Don't get me wrong. This is competitive tier list and high ranked, Mandy. Yeah, I am comparing her to other healers. I think she's an average healer. Like we'll get there, but I don't think there's. I'm gonna put the healers around where Furia is at. We'll get there. Don't worry. I'll explain the Furia pick later. Okay. I'm not comparing Furia to Andro. What I'm doing is comparing this champion to the rest of the champions in the game and how I feel like they affect the game. And trust me, other healers are gonna be around this area. Okay. Here, let me explain something to you guys with supports. Support players are gonna think Furia is really good because of what you can do, right? What you can do in comparison to the other supports. Like Furia, it does a lot of damage, so as a support, you feel like your impact is a lot more. Your ult is very impactful because it can turn fights. But I don't think at the end of the day supports actually impact the game that much. At least in competitive, like you're telling me that a support can carry harder than a damage or a tank? I don't think so. So we'll just talk about it. We'll talk about the rest of the sports later. Let's move on to Grok. Grok, I'm gonna kind of. He can obviously be a healer or a DPS. Let's just say he's a DPS. I think he's probably C level. I think he's playable along with Bomb King, but he's very situational. Doesn't do much damage. You need to play him into the right comps, and his healing is pretty weak. So yeah, Grok, he's not very good. Smorks in chat. Alright, so that's Grok. Alright, Grover. So, okay, so now that I'm looking at this, maybe you guys are right. Maybe Furia should go to a B+. Because, like, I want to put Grover at B. And I don't think Grover and Furia are at the same level. I think Furia is just a tad bit better. But I, like... Grover is D? I don't think so. I think Vex and VP proved Grover is pretty solid. I think Grover's a B champion. We'll move up Furia in one spot. I'm keeping Furia there, though. I'm not putting Furia at A. I am not doing it. So, yeah. That's what I have for that. I think Grover is pretty okay champion. He's definitely good in the right situation. He can be played on many maps. Move on to Amani. Amani, she's going to go on the C champions for me, the C damages. You guys are going to see a lot of damages end up in the C range where they're pretty bad in most situations, but they are playable. And I think Amani fits that pretty well. Honestly, you know what? Screw it. She's going D. She's a D. Amani's D. Yep. I see some Amani Ds coming through. Amani's D. Get her on. Get her off my C tier list. Amani's trash. She's I don't know. She's not F. She is not F. She's playable. F is for champions that I would never pick. Okay. Let's move on to Inara. Inara, I'm going to put a little bit. I'm going to do tanks on the left, DPS in the middle, and then supports on the right. So let's do that. So I'm going to put Inara above Ashe. I think she's definitely a pretty good tank. At least in terms of like point tanks, right? Like Barrack, Inara, Terminus are your point tanks, and I think Inara is just slightly worse than Barrack. Not much worse. Don't get me wrong. Not much worse. Like Inara's still very strong in the on certain maps, especially like Bright Marsh or Stone Keep, areas where you can wall off just huge, important parts of the map. Inara's is really strong, and she's also just extremely tanky. So B+ seems like a good fit for her. Genos, more healing, more healers. I was going to put Genos and Furia on the same level, so that level is going to be B+. I think Genos, with the right tanks like Barrack, Atlas, Barrack Koa, is very strong, paired up with the flank as well. Maybe even just a tad bit better than Furia. I think Genos is, but not much better. I think they're about the same. Moving on to Khan. I don't really want to spend too much time on these things, because otherwise this tier list video will get extremely long. There's a lot of champions, right? So let's move on to Khan. I think Khan is currently at Atlas level now that Atlas got the nerfs. If Atlas didn't get those nerfs, I would put him above Khan, but I think they're about the same level. I don't want to put Khan on a B+. I think he's a well above average champion. Can carry games by himself pretty consistently if you play him well and if you play him aggressively. I think Khan actually is a very aggressive tank. If you don't play him aggressively and get good value out of your grip, good value out of your shield, good value out of your shout, he is a lot worse. He's a hardcore min-max champion. Vex told me that one. Shout out to Vex30. What a good dude. Min-max. Like I think of Khan like that. I just never had a word for it. But he's a min-max champion. You need to get value out of your shield. You need to get value out of your shout. You need to get value out of your health. Kinessa. So let's just do both the snipers. Why not? Both the snipers. I think we all know where Strix is gonna go, right? We all know where Strix is gonna go in the current patch, right? Straight up to S. Put him up there. Get him on S. He's freaking broken. Okay, so this is what I said when Strix first came out, was a champion like Strix where you have that much long range poke, a pistol for close range, a stealth in which you have movement speed on it, and a flare that does insane damage. He is an absolutely broken character. And it honestly surprised me that it took so long for people to understand this, because I thought from the start he's always been broken, and I just didn't play him, honestly. Like I don't really like a stealth sniper. I think that mechanic being stealth and having that much poke is anti-fun. I think it should be reworked. Yeah, and the sound of his stealth is currently bugged. It's really weird. Yeah, it used to be super loud, and now it's kind of like weird. Yeah, I think Strix has always been played a little bit, but not to the level we saw at HRX where he's permabanned, right? So currently Strix is an S. So now let's go back to Kin. We said Strix is absolutely broken because of his stealth. I actually think Kin is pretty situational. I think is a pretty clear divide between the snipers right now. I think Kinessa is a C, while Strix is an S. Like, that's a huge difference. That tells you something, right? That tells you Strix needs a nerf. Because I think Kin is perfectly balanced. I think you can play her on different maps, but and she's good on the maps she should be good on, like Timbermill, Frog Isle, stuff like that. And she's not going to be played on, Stone Keeps or Bright Marshes, where Strix is played on every map in every situation. That's how you know something is broken. When you're playing it in situations that it should not be played in. And that is Strix right now. And I think they are looking at Strix nerfs, but I haven't seen anything yet. So currently, yeah, Strix is a nutter. Let's move on to Koga. Can I get some Fs in the chat for Koga, please? Because this is the only champion in the game in which I think you should never pick. Ever. Look at all those Fs. Oh yeah, Koga is. I don't know. I've seen people play him. Rock's tried to make him work. Ricotta's tried to make him work. I just don't think he does. I'm sorry. They've nerfed him too many times. Even when he had claws and his claws build was like really popular, he was even bad then, and everyone thought he was good. Like he was even bad then, and everyone thought he was good for like a month, right? It's just Koga. I'm sorry. I'm sure he appreciates those Fs though. He's just. I'm sorry for all you Koga mains out there. I'm sorry. He needs some major tweaks to get him back into the game, and currently he's not there. Commando Black or Karn? Karn is a really good player. I think Karn's really good. I think Commando Black's fine, but he's just a sniper one trick. Karn can play more than that. Karn hacks? I don't think so. I think he's just good. Okay, let's move on to Lex. We got our only F champion. Let's move on to Lex. So Lex, for me, he did get some buffs with Death Hastens. And I think it's solid. And people were playing it a little bit, but actually people started to realize he's got too many counters. Anything that takes him off the ground, he can't use his dash, which is a pretty big deal, right? Not being able to dash is a huge deal. With a Genos pocket, he's alright. Against the Genos, he's absolutely terrible. The lift completely hard counters him. For me, I think he's going to be a C. I don't think he's quite a Monty Dredge. I think he's playable. I don't know. Is he a B? Honestly, let's put Lex as B. I think Lex is a B. Not B? C? I think Lex is better than you guys are letting him. I think Lex is solid. Okay, he has a lot of counters, I agree. I don't know, Lex is a tough one. Like, I feel like I want to put Lex on BK's level, and that makes me want to put BK at B. I don't know, I think Lex is just a tad bit better than BK. Just a tad bit better. Alright, let's move BK to B. I think BK deserves a B, especially with Drogos. I think this makes more sense. I think this is right. I think this is right. Yeah, I've seen a lot of yes. I agree. I think BK Drogue seem pretty similar. Lex seems similar to them as well. The buffs definitely brought him back into it. I think he can be played very well on long range maps, mid range maps, and short maps now. I think he fits pretty well in the B category. I think he's BK level, and I think that's why we make the smart choice to move BK up. Yeah, I think this is looking legit too. Alright, moving on to Leon. Leon is going to be a B or a B plus for me. I'm not exactly sure where. Probably a B plus. Probably a B plus. I think she's just slightly worse than Cassie. Not much worse. Not much worse. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of B pluses in chat. I think B plus makes sense. For sure. Definitely one of the better B plus champions. I think she's better than Andrew and Buck. But just slightly better. The nerfs to her is actually a pretty big deal. The 50% damage reduction in her ult from this most recent patch, that nerf, that's actually a huge deal. I find it so many more times where Leon would just kill me in her ult, I end up killing her. Now with that nerf. So for me, if that nerf didn't exist, I'd put her on Cassie's level. But with that nerf, she drops to a B plus. That and also I think that was a good nerf. Honestly, I think that was a pretty good nerf. I think Leon ult was too free of a kill. Like you could just use her ult as long as you got in and got her ult off on certain champions, you won that fight. And I don't think that is really a fair mechanic in games. I think the nerf was very smart. Moving on to Maeve. Maeve is gonna be Maeve EV level. That's what I call it. I call it the Maeve EV level of flanks. Maeve is a really good, strong pick, but not one of the best picks in the game. Definitely really strong. Maeve and Eevee are going to be those characters that they're going to fit in every draft, but they're not bannable. They're in this weird situation where they're very strong, but they don't really want to get banned that much. Like, yeah, obviously people are going to ban them, but they're not banning them every game. They're going to get banned every once in a while, but not every game. And I also think they can just hard carry any match. Like, if you're a very good Maeve or a very good Eevee, you will hard carry. You will hard carry. It's just how it is. There's champions with so much mobility, so much, outplay potential, so many things you can do to turn the game into your favor, and I think they deserve an A+. Okay, let's move on to the turtle. You guys know what I think about the turtle. The turtle is by far the best tank in the game. I'm not sure I want to put him on S or A+. I don't know. Is he worthy of an S? I don't think so. I don't think he's worthy of an S. I think he's an A+ champion. He's very close to S, though. Very close. With Koa, if they don't nerf him extremely hard on his health, on Leviathan, he's always going to be an A+ or an S champion. And he's probably always going to be the best tank. Being able to hook someone and change their positioning, it cannot be countered by resilience, which makes it some of the best CC in the game. He has an ultimate that refills his health bar and gives him an extra 4,000 health or whatever. It's just he's gonna be the best tank. He needs extreme nerfs to take him down. Honestly, I want to put him at S. The more I talk about him, right? Can we put him on S? Nah, we'll put him on A. We'll keep him on A plus. We'll keep him on A plus. He's definitely good. All right, put him on. All right, we're getting a lot of guesses. Let's do it. Let's put him on S. He is S. I think Ko's an S. Yeah, let's put him on S. All right, Maldamba. Damba, very good support, average in my opinion. He's not gonna be on Genos Furia level, but he's definitely Grover level. Can do his job very well. His fear is very impactful until people get resilience, of course. But until then, pretty good. I think you could make an argument for putting him on B+, but I think it makes sense to put him slightly below Genos Furia and put him on a B. I think it makes sense. Damba is definitely a good support, though. So actually, I'm going to slide him. So I'm doing this left to right in terms of the roles. So if you look at this, I think Maeve is better than Eevee. I think... Oh, wait, this should be switched. So it goes tank, damage, support, and then in that role, I put who I think's better. So in this situation, like I think Damba is better than Grover, and I think Genos is better than Furia. And in those respective tiers. Yeah, I think Maeve's better than Eevee. I think Maeve, her ultimate is, because it's a global ult, or pseudo-global ult, it's just a little bit better than Eevee. And I also think she's better on long-range maps. So yeah, moving on. Let's move on to Moji. Moji... Moji. What are we doing with Moji, guys? Is she a C? Is she good enough to be on C? I think she might be. Her DPS is the highest in the game. She does have a shield. She has mobility. She has an ultimate that can insta-kill. I think she's a C. I don't think she's as bad as these champions. I think she's definitely playable. Mutu put her on the map. Shout out to Mutu, who also hosted me this stream. Pog. I think C is pretty fair for her. Is she better than Grok? I think so. I think Kin is probably the best DPS here, actually. I think it goes Kin, Grok, Kin, Moji, Grok in terms of the damages on C. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's move on to Pip. Pip, in terms of healing, let's just do healing real quick because he's a lot worse at healing. I think he's a C healer. I think you can play him with Combat Medic. Combat Medic did get buffed. I also think the Pep in the step buff, which is the movement speed card for Pip, the buff is actually pretty nice on that for Mega Potion. And I personally think Mega Potion is still his best talent. So for me, Pip is a C healer. He's definitely not Damba or Grover level, but he's not bad. He's definitely not bad. In terms of damage, I'm going to put Pip at a B level, along with the other three blasters. So the reason I have the blasters here, I should probably talk about this now because I don't think there's any left. I mean, Willow, but she's a different story. The reason I have the blasters on average is because they are good champions, but you can't run them everywhere. All these champions that are above this, you can run them in almost every situation. Where the blasters, they're very situational. Like, you only want to run Drogos on ice mines or Frog Isle or areas where you can run worm jets without getting shot down. BK, you only want to run him on Bright Marsh, Jaguar Falls, ice mines, stuff like that. Pip, you only want to run him on a few maps, Stone Keep, Bright Marsh, stuff like that, right? So that is why I have them at B. And B is average, so as you guys can see as we're going through this tier list, it should end up with like a curve like this, where B should have a majority of the champions, B plus should have a majority of the champions, and then from there it should get smaller. So having 3 champions at S is kind of interesting. It shows that these champions are maybe like slightly overtuned. Starting on the most recent champion, Raum. I've put a lot of stuff out there on what I think about Raum, but for the most part, I think he's very strong. I really think he's strong. I don't know if I'm going to put him on Koa level because champions like Koa, Atlas, Khan, Inara, anything with CC counters him very hard. CC is by far his hardest counter as well as percent damage, but the thing about percent damage is there's not many percent damages in this game. There's only a few. What comes to mind at the top of my head, Sky, Tyra, I don't know. There's insta-kills, but there's not that much counters to Rom, actually. BK should be SS plus. Maybe you're BK Shadow, not my BK. So Raum, I'm actually gonna put above A. I'm gonna put him at A plus. I think he's not quite an S tank. Okay, so here's why I think Raum is A plus. So, because obviously he's a new champion, so people are gonna want to hear this. Raum, I think he is way too good at diving backlines, and he's way too tanky. You need CC, in which CC can be played around. A good Raum can play around CC. A good Raum can also play around percent damage. The only really thing that can hard counter Raum is like Guillotine or Sky Debilitate. And as far as I know, those champions are not very good. At least not right now. B plus, I disagree, guys. I think... Oh, Big Game Cassie, you're right. Yeah, Big Game Cassie. I knew I was forgetting one. Thank you. But anyways, Big Game Cassie can be countered, or it can be banned out. Also, he has 2 DR cards, which are 25% DR, in which you can run at almost like 60%, 70% uptime. I think if you play Raum correctly, I think he is very strong. I think he's extremely strong. There are a ton of counters, but my opinion, I think he might be better than A+. He's very strong. He's just too tanky. But the thing about Raum's counters is almost all of them can be outplayed. Like, you can outplay Kohook. You can outplay Con Grip. You can outplay Big Game Cassie. All these things you can outplay. Also, his soul armor is not countered by percent damage. At least not currently. I think that would be a pretty good nerf for him. Also, it is not countered by Cauterize. So, his soul armor healing is all uncounterable. It's absolutely bonkers. I think you could definitely put him at S. I just think because he has so many counters, he moves to A+, even though those counters can be outplayed. It is countered by percent damage? As far as I know, they didn't do that. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's not. Soul armor counts? I honestly don't know. Like, from what I've heard from Hi-Rez, is that it does not counter. From what I heard from Hi-Rez directly. So, I don't know. Maybe it is. Yeah, Koa is definitely more counterable than Raum, actually. You might be right. Maybe Koa and Raum switch. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Maybe you do this, and you're actually right. Maybe that's right. This could very well be the true tier list right here. You know what? Let's try it. YOLO. I think Raum is broken. YOLO. Let's do it. I don't like saying YOLO much, but let's do it. I like where your head's at, Shadow. I like where your head's at. I like it. I'm not dabbing, okay? I'm not dabbing. Okay, Ruckus. Ruckus for me is about Ash. He's definitely strong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's OP or anything like that. I don't think he's Atlas, Khan, Koa, Raum. Those champions seem far better than Ruckus. Far better. I definitely think Ruckus... Yeah, Raum lives way too long. He's too tanky. Yeah, like, Shadow, you convinced me. Koa is easier to counter than Raum, and they have the same counters, pretty much. Right? So it makes sense. And for you guys' information, you can run the legendary card for the ultimate increase charge and the DR. I think the DR is slightly better, but I could definitely see running the ultimate charge one being really strong. Okay, so what are we talking about? Ruckus. I think Ruckus is a pretty good spot at B. I think he fits B pretty well. Saris, let's be real, Saris is pretty bad. I don't think she's D. I think you can play Saris in more situations if people are picking her. I just think the other healers are better, so people end up not picking Saris, right? That's pretty much the reason why people end up not picking her. Shaolin, go into the C pile, Sha. Go into the C pile. Below average, playable. D! Whoa, you got D for Shaolin. I don't know. I think Sha is more playable than Amani or Dredge. But I don't think he's very good. Yeah, you have to outrange Raum. That's like mobility, like to counter Rom, it's mobility, running away from him, and outranging him. Yeah, I think Shah's C. I think he's one of the better Cs. I have below Kinessa, above Moji. I think he's fits pretty well right there. Sky, I don't know. Sky, is she B? Honestly, no, she's not, right? She's not B, right, chat? She's C, right? Playable. You can counter with her, but she's not OP. Yeah, Sky's C. I like C. A little bit lower than Shaolin. Talus is going to end up C too, right? I feel like there's going to be a lot of C champions, actually. Like, where these characters are playable, but they're pretty bad still. Why is Andrew B+? Because of the buffs. Andrew got buffed quite a bit this patch, and I actually think the buffs are a pretty big deal on him. I think he's pretty good. Terminus. Let's go put Terminus B. Nah, he's probably worse than Ruckus Ash, right? A little bit better than Nando. Yeah, I think Terminus C. I'd rather have a Terminus on my team in the right situation than a Nando. I think that makes sense. He's definitely worse than Ash, though. Geez, C is actually, like, what this is telling me, I'm looking at this, is that there's a lot of, like, mediocre champions in the game that are playable. Torvald, that's going to be a C. Another C. Another C! But I think Torvald is actually a good C. Because I don't think Torvald's very fun to play against, and I also don't think he's fun to play. So, having him at a low tier is cool with me. Oh my gosh, are we going to go C again? Is Tyra another C? Legitimately? Torvald is not D. Torvald is not D. This is not relevant at all on PS4. Unfortunately, no, it is a PC tier list. But it will be somewhat relevant on PS4. I don't play console, so I can't do a good console tier list, unfortunately. Terra B. Yeah, I know. It's not looking like a bell curve. It's telling me that there's a lot of champions that are below average that are in the game. That's what it's telling me. Like, I'm not gonna make a tier like. Okay, so think about it like this. Think about tier lists like this. B is where I think champions are balanced. Above B is champions I believe are above average, and below B are champions I believe are below average. Right? Yeah, did I say that right? Below B is champions that I believe are below average. So if you think about it like that, what this is telling me is that these champions... You know what? Yeah, Kinessa probably should be B. You're right. Kinessa should probably be B. Vic is going to be B. Yeah, Vic is going to be B or B+. I think probably B. Because he's situational. He's like the blasters. He's a good B, though. Yeah, Tyra counters Rom, but that's it. I think Vic could be a B+, for sure. Actually, you know what? I don't know. I think Vic definitely could be B+. My issue with Vic is he's very easily counterable. There's not many champions in this game where you can counter him as hard as you can counter a Vic. Vic, when he has to run away, he is so much worse than he's just pelting. Like, he obviously does a ton of damage, don't get me wrong, but he can't fight people correctly. I think Kinessa earned it. I think slightly earned it. Okay, Vivian. Alex made Vivian work at HRX. I think she's an okay champion. Is she B level or is she C? I think she's... That's the question. Is she B or C? I think she's probably C. She's another champion in which she can be countered very easily. She's very slow, no mobility. Not much there. Not much there really to her. She's definitely good in the right situation. So that's why I think she fits C perfectly. Good in the right situation, bad in almost all the other situations, right? On console, this is going to be completely different, guys. This is completely different than console. So, moving on to Willow. We're almost done, then we'll talk about the tier list a little bit more. I know we have said a bunch of things already. But Willow, I think you can pretty much put her at B+. Obviously, last patch, I think she was a lot better. I think she was an A plus or an A champ. But I think with the nerfs, I think B plus fits her well. They decreased her damage fall off, so they nerfed her damage as well as nerfing her dash quite a bit actually. Her dash is like 20% worse, I think, or like 18% worse, which is actually a pretty big deal. And I also think she was a little overrated. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think at HRX she was a little overrated. I think she was a champion that was getting picked more than she deserved. But when she does get picked in the right situation, I do think she's good. And with the nerfs, I'm gonna have to drop her a little bit. 24 to 20 units. What is that? That's 1/6. I don't know. Is that 18%? I don't know. I can't do the math on top of my head. 18 to 20%, somewhere around there, or like 16 or 17. 16%, yeah. Ying is going to be my Damba Grover Ying level in terms of healer. She's definitely good. I think, you know what, she's probably the best healer out of these three. Yeah, Willow ult is still really good. That's why I think Willow's a B plus champ. I think she fits perfectly at B plus. Above average, really good, but not like insane. Moving on to Xin. Xin is going to be B for me. Xin will be a B champion. I think he is better than C. He's better than Lex. I think B is a perfect spot for him, to be honest. I think he is an average flank. I don't think he's as good as Buck or Andrew right now. Oh, I mean Bin. Yeah, oh yeah, Bin. In the B rank. So overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this tier list. I think everything fits pretty well. Sorry I couldn't talk about like everything more. I'd like to, but when you're doing a tier list with this many champions, you have to go through it quick or else the video is going to get way too long. So overall, I think we have a pretty good bell curve here. B, and it looks like there's actually quite a few champions that could be buffed a little bit and be about like the perfect level. I think the tanks are at a pretty good spot. They're pretty healthy across the board. Like there's really good tanks, obviously that need to get some nerfs, but there's also a lot of healthy tanks as well as damages. Really, I think damages overall. I don't want to say they're weak, but they're situational, right? Damages, like you can't run them in every situation except for select few, like Strix, Eevee, Maeve, Cassie. So that's where damages kind of sit at in Paladins, and I think it's an alright spot for it. Supports, like I think the support tier list is fine. Like I know a lot of people were, questioning the Fury at B, but I think you could put Fury at B and B, it would be fine. But I do think B plus is probably a better spot for her, but I don't think Fury at B would be that bad. And I think that's it. I think looking at these champions, they definitely could use a buff. These champions are all very strong. You can carry your rank games with them. And I think the bell curve is pretty solid. And I'm happy with this. I hope YouTube's happy as well. And thank you all so much for watching. GG's. GG's. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tier list video.